He's legally, Mark Stevens thinks, perfectly entitled to say what he has said and do what he has done, which is sign the letter.
Yeah.
What do you think's going on behind the scenes at the BBC about this? How do you think, for example, Tim Davie, the Director General, must feel about this?
Well, this was a battle that was lost in March, essentially, when Lineker compared the Rwanda situation, government policy, with 1930s Germany. And of course, on October the 7th, deafening silence from Gary Lineker, whether there was something you could actually compare to 1930s Germany going on.
Yes, talking about the massacre in Israel by Hamas.
Yeah, it's the disgusting hypocrisy of it that will get people. I think even at the BBC, there will be huge discomfort about this, because the sense is out there amongst the public that this is the view of the BBC, because it's such a big figure. Gary Lineker, he's the highest paid star. So they will be squirming, I think, and they'd much rather he shut up. But they lost that battle in March when the whole of this Match of the Day staff went on strike, and you were left with this bizarre situation where there were just goals going in on television. No commentary, no punditry, nothing. Perversely, the viewing figures went up by 500,000.
Yeah, some people said they loved it. They
I actually
prefer and enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, no blather, nothing. The goals, here's the score. Good night, cheerio.
So whatever became of the kind of notion that if you were watching somebody playing a cello or listening to them playing a cello on the BBC, you were just enjoying the performance. If they were commenting on football, you were loving their perception, their experience, their joy, their enthusiasm, their energy, and their football commentary. And if they were judging a dance competition, you were enthralled to their dance expertise. But you weren't also having to digest at the same time their thoughts on Rwanda or Just Stop Oil or Hamas or any other thing. You were just enjoying them because it was the BBC. You could do that, or at least were meant to be supposed to do that.
And then along came social media once the century turned. And suddenly people like Gary Lineker, Carol Vorderman, there's another one, realised there was a whole heap of approval to be gained by churning out sentiments. And the striking thing about that letter he signed is how vapid it is. It ends with them saying, together we call for something better.
Well, what?
OK, tell us what.
What? I'm broadcasting about this every day.
Together we call for something nice and agreeable. Well, we all do that. But this goes back to October the 7th, when it calls for someone to actually make a real stand, to take a risk. All those faces, all the face names on that letter just go missing.
Yes.
And what would take real courage would have been to stand at the front of that march against anti-Semitism.
And you might say that what might have taken courage would have been for the Director General of the BBC to say, Gary, look, you know, you're a great guy, we love you, you're entitled to say whatever you say about anything, but say it somewhere else. Go and work on a different channel. There's not a paucity, there's not a famine of good football commentators, and I'm not sure that Gary Lineker was even that good until he joined the BBC and they trained him.
He's not in the same class as someone like Jeff Stelling. He's not as good as Gabby Logan. He's not as good as Hazel Irvine. They could quite easily have just said, thanks, Gary, goodbye, and this whole situation wouldn't have been continuing. And it will keep going. He'll do it again and again and again until they cauterise it. But the other thing, it's not as bad as the hypocrisy of it. It's the sheer bad manners. They trained him from nothing. He was a dreadful, dreadful host when he started. Now he's serviceable. Can't do any other sport, just ball kicking. That's it.